Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 151. Without any delay, start explanation. The twins were only 12 years old when they first entered Shrek Academy and had just turned 18 years old recently. They owned 5 pieces of battle armor each and still had more to do before they could possess their own complete sets. In 2 years' time, they would have the opportunity to become one-word battle armor masters and enter the inner court. Most importantly, as martial soul fusion skill cultivators, the academy could very possibly allocate more time for them. Flames leaped up as the bodies of both siblings changed. A low raging roar was heard. Their martial souls were both of the fire attributes, but they were completely different. A muffled lion's roar echoed from Li Mengyang's body, while a deep tiger's howl came from Li Mengtian. The lion's roar and tiger's howl were both heard at once. The powerful force rushed directly toward Tang Wulin and Ji Yu across the arena. 2 yellow and 2 purple. These were colors of the Li siblings' soul rings. They were both at 4 soul ring soul ancestor rank. Tang Wulin dashed out. When the opposition was releasing their martial souls and battle armor, he had already advanced forward. 2 golden soul rings appeared on his body in a flash. Even though he understood that the blue-silver grass third soul skill, blue-silver golden array, was capable of limiting the opponent's elemental attribute and weakening their power, at that moment Tang Wulin was suppressing a savage fury in his heart. He did not want to use any skills. He just wanted to crush his opponent in the most devastating way possible and vent the rage he felt inside. Ji Yu walked forward slowly. Layers of an otherworldly luminescence shimmered around her body. There seemed to be countless rays of light gathering toward her in the air. Her eyes were staring straight at the figure of Tang Wulin the whole time. Her gaze never left him even for a moment. Li Mengyang and Li Mengtian took a step forward in perfect unison. Their movements were synced as though they were a single person. Even their soul rings glowed at the same time. The twins' hair turned to a blazing red color. They skipped a step and dashed toward Tang Wulin. The first golden soul ring shimmered as golden scales covered his entire body rapidly. His golden dragon claw rushed forward. Facing 2 opponents alone, Tang Wulin was fearless. He did not bother looking at Li Mengtian as his left leg stomped once on the ground, and he arrived before Li Mengyang in a flash. The golden dragon claw formed into a fist as he punched straight at his opponent. Li Mengyang scoffed. The scorching hot flames were blazing and surrounded his right fist. He expelled a ball of flame from his mouth, spitting it at Tang Wulin's face. Tang Wulin did not even try to dodge the flames spat out by his opponent. His right fist continued to punch forward. Without a sound, an ice wall emerged in front of the 2 combatants. When the flames were spat onto the wall, it melted in an instant, but the fiery breath was also extinguished in the process. Tang Wulin's fist was just about to strike Li Mengyang's face at the same time the ice wall melted. Without a doubt, the ice wall was summoned by Ji Yu. Her timing could only be described as pure excellence. She helped Tang Wulin neutralize his opponent's flaming breath without hindering his own attack. The ice wall was erected in 2 layers, one thin and one thick. The thinner layer was on her side, while the thick layer blocked Li Mengtian on the outside. Li Mengyang did not expect that Tang Wulin and Ji Yu could work together so well. However, he was also an assault-type battle soul master. He would never show weakness when he was fighting Tang Wulin, whose cultivation base was weaker than his own. Boom! 2 fists collided. Li Mengyang felt as if he had been hit by a soul train. A sharp pain shot through his right arm and hand, and the enormous impact sent his body spinning. Tang Wulin had already broken 4 levels of the Golden Dragon King seal. His body was tough and hardy, certainly far beyond average. The 3rd grade Class 1 students only managed to find a few rough details about him anyway. Even if they were aware of Tang Wulin being strong, they would absolutely never have expected that he was this formidable. Li Mengyang was almost twirling as the blow tossed him backward. If not for him jumping up at the last second, he might have broken an arm. However, he was truly capable. His red hair completely exploded while his body was still in the air. A raging roar echoed from his mouth as his second soul ring glowed brightly. The lion's roar. A great blaze of flames shot out when the enormous sound wave stunned Tang Wulin momentarily. On the other side, the thick ice wall broke apart and Li Mengtian had already dashed forth. She raised her pair of tiger paws, clawing at Tang Wulin's side. One of the twins had a blazing demon lion martial soul while the other had a blazing demon tiger. The hearts of the brother and sister were connected, so when one attacked the enemy, the other provided reinforcement. The blood essence reversed in Tang Wulin's body. He stomped the ground with his right foot suddenly, as a valiant dragon's roar filled the entire arena. Li Mengyang's ongoing lion's roar was abruptly cut off. 8 dragon-shaped wings with Tang Wulin's body as their center swarmed toward the siblings as if they had eyes. Li Mengtian had no choice but to slap her palms to the ground. The golden dragon shakes the earth was indeed an exceedingly powerful soul skill created by Tang Wulin himself. It was inspired by the Golden Dragon King's bloodline under the blood essence reversal effect. Even if Yuan and Yehui were to fight against Tang Wulin's Golden Dragon shocks the heavens and Golden Dragon shakes the earth when she was at her peak, she would not necessarily win. There was still a significant gap between the abilities of the twins and Yuan and Yehui. The battle armor reduced the discrepancy, but it still remained. Moreover, the siblings had no leg armor. The shockwave blast echoed through the entire competition stage. The audience witnessed as the siblings were both blown away by the quake. The armor on their bodies began glowing and only then were they capable of resisting the powerful impact of the Golden Dragon shakes the earth. Tang Wulin let out a dragon's roar from his mouth. His body flashed again as he swiftly leaped at Li Mengyang. Cold light shimmered in his eyes as he thrust out his right hand. 5 streams of golden-colored lights appeared out of thin air. Those were from the Golden Dragon Dreadclaw. Li Mengyang could feel a gust of foul wind blowing against his face. In his heart, he cried out, and his 4th soul ring glowed in an instant. A layer of scarlet light enshrouded his body, and his entire physique expanded, becoming bulkier. He placed his hands on the top of his head while his battle armor was shining brilliantly. Boom! The Golden Dragon Dreadclaw slammed Li Mengyang's whole body into the ground. Even more shockingly, a soft exploding noise echoed from his rear braces. Although the armor did not shatter, there were already fine cracks appearing on the surface. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. At that moment, Li Mengtian had just landed on the ground and she dashed in her brother's direction at full speed. They had already understood now that the first-grade Class 1 was truly monstrous. They could only depend on the martial soul fusion skill to defeat them. Silver light flashed as a figure emerged in front of her soundlessly. "Go away!" Li Mengtian shouted in her sweet voice. She struck her pair of tiger claws together as 2 balls of phantom-like shadow claws suddenly appeared before her. Guu clapped her palms, creating a blue ball of fire in front of her. Boom! Li Mengtian flew up into the air as her entire body was doused in blue flames. Soon after, a terrifying ice ball had already caught up with her. It was over a meter wide and covered in long spikes. Li Mengtian dropped her arms and used her battle armor to crush the ice ball. The ball shattered, but she gave out a muffled gasp as the impact sent her reeling backward. Tang Wulin took a stride forward and had already reached Li Mengyang. His right foot stomped the ground once again as the Golden Dragon shakes the earth targeted Li Mengyang, who had just stood up and was ready to get back into the air again. Soon after, the Golden Dragon shocks the heavens. Golden Dragon head charged toward Li Mengyang's body, as if it was engulfing him. Finally, a ball of silver moonlight bloomed and positioned itself in front of Li Mengyang's body. The Golden Dragon shocks the heavens charged into the moonlight and vanished without a single ounce of energy fluctuation. Elder Cai grabbed Li Mengyang in midair as she nodded toward Tang Wulin. On the other side, Li Mengtian panicked after seeing her brother had been confirmed eliminated from the match. She dashed rapidly after she landed on the ground. The 4th soul ring on her body shimmered as a tiger's roar suddenly resounded. A blazing giant tiger was released from her body. One could see the indistinct form of a spirit soul fused into the giant tiger as it pounced straight at Guu. Guu stood in the same spot without moving. With a flash of silver light, Tall and imposing figure with golden-colored scales covering his entire body appeared before her. The golden scales suddenly turned reflective like mirrors, and the blazing devil tiger clone only made his scales shimmer more when it crashed into him. Li Mengtian then heard a loud and clear dragon's roar. The enormous golden dragon head appeared directly in front of her. The silver moon shimmered once again, constraining Li Mengtian and engulfing the dragon's head. However, it was different this time, as a series of loud booming noises echoed with a fluctuating silver glow that rippled faintly. The entire scene was silent. Tang Wulin and Ji Yu happened to be standing at the center of the entire battle arena at the time. Both of them stood side by side. The golden scales on Tang Wulin's body were still shimmering with a faint glow, and his gaze was filled with assertiveness and dominance. He was exuding a formless stress just by standing over there. Xie stood below the stage. He looked up to Tang Wulin on the sparring ground and could not help muttering to himself, Big Brother's fighting method is really becoming more and more aggressive and also more and more extravagant. But I like it. It is pure joy to watch him fight. First grade class 1, Tang Wulin and Ji Yu win. Elder Cai placed down Li Mengyang and his sister in her hands while simultaneously announced the result of this match. They won. First grade class 1 won again. This round was different from the first 3. Those were 1 against 1, and at least the competitors were evenly matched for the most part. Yi Xinglan's match could be described as tragic, but no sweeping wins had taken place before this. This time, in everyone's eyes, the 2 against 2 match ended with an overwhelming victory. When the match began, the twins, Li Mengyang and Li Mengtian, had intended to fight an exploratory battle. However, they were forcefully separated in the end. They did not even have the chance to unleash their martial soul fusion skill before they lost the match. What a terrible loss it was. The siblings were ghastly pale. Their expressions were brought about not only by their injuries, but also by the 2 figures standing in the center of the sparring ground. Tang Wulin, around whom a faint dragon's roar could still be heard, gave them the impression that he was unstoppable with his golden soul rings and golden scales. He did not have battle armor, but they were still pushed back despite both of them having 5 pieces of armor each. They lost. They were unsatisfied, but their wills had already surrendered. Tang Wulin gradually retracted his scales, but he did not go down from the battleground. Coming up next was the 7 against 7 team battle, and they were participating in that as well. The reason why he deployed such fierce tactics to win against their opponents was to pave the way for the 7 against 7 battle. Without question, the opponents who took part in the paired matches would most certainly take part in the following 7 against 7 match. He wanted to establish an undefeatable image in the minds of his opponents. On the alliance team side, Yuan and Yehui, Yu Jingyu, Chu Xiaoyan, Xie, and Xu Lixi went up to the sparring ground and stood beside Tang Wulin and Ji Yu. Yi Xinglan could no longer participate. She was substituted by Xu Lixi, whose usually chubby face was usually smiling, but was now as dark as rain clouds right. He went to Tang Wulin's side and kept giving him recovery pork buns to help him restore the power of his blood essence. The 7 of them stood there while an invisible pressure permeated the entire arena. On the other hand, 3rd grade class 1 was silent. Only Li Qianquan walked silently towards the sparring ground. Wait. Song Lin grabbed Li Qianquan's shoulder. Li Qianquan turned around and shot her a quizzical look. Song Lin closed her eyes and heaved a sigh. When she reopened them, she seemed to have made up her mind. She spoke with a deep voice to Elder Cai who stood on the sparring ground. Elder Cai, we forfeit the team battle. We admit defeat. When she said this, the entire arena burst into an uproar. Admit defeat? 3rd grade class 1 admitted their defeat? Did they just admit defeat? Even when Li Qianquan, their one-word battle armor master, the strongest person in their class, had not yet taken part, 3rd grade class 1 had admitted defeat. Teacher Song, why? Li Qianquan asked hastily. Song Lin had a wry smile as she shook her head at him. Look at your companions. We won't stand a chance in the team battle. Li Qianquan was stunned. His gaze first landed on Mo Ju, who had already come to her senses, but was sitting at the edge of the arena like the walking dead. Then he looked at Yi Wu. Yi Wu's eyes were dull. He was staring at Tang Wulin, who stood on the sparring ground. He seemed to be swallowing hard. On the sparring ground, the twins, Li Mengyang and Li Mengtian, huddled against each other. Their eyes clearly flickered with fear. Then, he looked at his other companions who had not yet taken part in any match. When his gaze fell upon them, they all lowered their heads in tacit agreement. Their confidence was shattered. In the first 5 matches, it had been broken by the alliance team of the first and second grade. Teacher Song, I want to fight this match. I don't care if it's 1 against 7. Even if I have to fight alone, I want to fight. Li Qianquan balled up his fists. However, Song Lin shook her head. I don't want you to end up like Mo Ju. I've made my decision. Li Qianquan's breathing turned heavy immediately. He glared fiercely at the 7 members of Tang Wulin's team. His eyes, like blazing fire, locked onto them. Suddenly, he shouted out in fury, turned around and ran. 3rd grade Class 1 had lost. In front of all 6 grades of the outer court, they had lost. They had utterly lost. They even lost the final 7 against 7 match without putting up a fight. Indeed, their one-word battle armor master, Li Qianquan, had not yet participated in any matches, but it seemed that he was the only one who was still at his full fighting strength. He was up against 7 opponents, all of them formidable. Song Lin's decision was right. She did not wish to see her disciple suffer another blow. If they lost in the 7 against 7, then Li Qianquan's spirit would almost certainly be severely wounded. This was something she hoped never to see. On the sparring ground, Tang Wulin stood at the front. Beside him were his 6 companions, Ji Yu Yu, Xu Xiaoyuan, Xie Xie, Xu Lixi, Yuan and Yehui, and Yu Zhengyu. 7 teenage boys and girls full of youthful vigor stood there with the conviction to win, flames burning in their eyes. The 500 students of the 6 grades of Shrek Academy's outer court seemed to have fallen in a trance at the sight of them. These children are amazing. The Holy Spirit Dolor had already returned to the rostrum as she exclaimed softly. In front of all the students of the outer court, Tang Wulin and his companions finally showed their extraordinary capabilities with this series of matches. A year's worth of careful preparation had allowed them to display their true strengths. They were extremely talented individuals, but what was more important was their conviction to win. Even if they were up against a one-word battle armor master, they would not cower in fear. This was who they were. They who are youthful, they who are persistent, they who are strong. Shuoshe and Feng Wuyu beside him both happened to look at each other. On this rare occasion, the holy twin dragons did not quarrel. What they saw in each other's eyes was relief. With the addition of Yi Xinglan, the average age of these youngsters was 14 and a half. If they were given a few more years to reach 18 or 19 years old, they believed that these young men and women would surely be able to support Shrek Academy's new generation. The pavilion master was right. Outstanding young people such as them need more experience and toughening. 3rd grade Class 1 has forfeited the 7 against 7 match. The victor of the challenge is the alliance team of the 1st and 2nd grades. Elder CAI hit the gavel and announced the final results. It was only now that the entire spectators' stand of the 1st and 2nd grades erupted in an earth-shattering chorus of cheers. This was especially true for 1st grade Class 1. As the Academy's latest addition, they had not spent more than a year here. However, as the main force behind the alliance team, they had won against the representative team of 3rd grade Year 1, which was supposed to be the strongest team in the outer court. This meant that they already stood on the pinnacle of the outer court. At the very least, there would no others that could surpass them in the next few years. Tang Wulin raised his arms high. Xu Lixi leapt down the sparring ground and ran swiftly to Yi Xinglan, who had just regained consciousness. Amidst Yi Xinglan's soft exclamation of surprise, he lifted her up and leapt back onto the sparring ground. "We're the best." Yi Xinglan's delicate face blushed as she said softly, "Put me down, quickly." She was currently sore all over and her limbs were weak. She could not resist him even if she wanted to. "Huh? What did you say?" Xu Lixi spoke loudly. At that moment, cheers resounded on and off the sparring ground, so it seemed he could not hear Yi Xinglan's voice. "I said, put me down this instant," said Yi Xinglan angrily. "Huh? Don't let you fall? Don't worry, Sister Xinglan. I'll be sure to hold you tight." As he said this, the fat little guy shook his arms and hugged her tighter. "You fatso." Yi Xinglan could not help but pinch his arm. Xu Lixi lowered his head to look at her and grinned. Li Qianquan led the representative team of 3rd grade Class 1 away from the arena. The students of 3rd grade Class 1 also departed quickly. Today was not their day. "I have an announcement to make," Elder Cai's voice echoed across the arena. The aura of a title d'honneur swiftly suppressed the cheers and noise of the entire arena. Everyone turned their attention toward Elder Cai. She spoke with a deep voice. "Due to the outstanding performance of the 1st and 2nd grades Alliance team in this match, the Academy will choose a batch of students from the 2 grades to participate in the exchange program on the Star Luo continent 6 months from now. All of you will have to work harder to earn a place among those going to the Star Luo continent. The exchange program will go on for 1 year." The Star Luo continent? Tang Wulin looked at Elder Cai with shock. The Star Luo continent was a whole new world for them. What kind of a place was it? As class monitor, he would undoubtedly be considered for selection. His memories flashed back to the match between the master and disciple pair who came to challenge the Blacksmiths Association not long ago. Would they be going for the exchange in the same manner? He did not think that it was likely to happen. Frankly, he was slightly reluctant to go. Ever since he entered Shrek Academy, his development could be described as a 7-league stride. The best cultivation resources could be found here, in addition to those supplied by the Tang sect. If he continued on, Tang Wulin was confident that he could become a one-word battle armor master before he finished 1st grade. At that point, he would be a mere 16 years old. Even in Shrek Academy, where there was no shortage of geniuses, he would still be regarded as an extraordinary student. He would then further his studies in the inner court as he continued on the path to becoming an expert. If he went to the Star Luo continent for a whole year, what would happen? He was not the only one thinking about this, as his companions around him were also at a loss. Gu seemed to be lost in thought, and Yuan Yehui was noticeably frowning. The rest of the students left the sparring grounds and went for their own cultivation. Tang Wulin and the others went back to the working students' dormitory at once. "Yuan and Zhengyu, don't be in such a hurry to go back. Let's talk about what Elder Cai said, shall we?" "Okay." Yuan and Yehui and Yu Jingyu stopped where they stood. There were only the 8 of them staying in the dormitory, so it was the cleanest place in the academy. "About the Star Luo continent, anyone here know anything about it?" Tang Wulin put the question to them. Xie replied, "I've read about it a little. Once, there were 2 empires on the Doluo continent. One of them was called the Heaven Do Empire, and the other was the Star Luo Empire. There were a few smaller countries wedged between the 2 empires. About 10,000 years ago, continental drift caused the tectonic plate of the Sun-Moon continent to collide with ours, and the 2 merged. The Sun-Moon continent was rich in natural resources and had more advanced soul technology. At that time, the Heaven Do Empire had split into 2 separate nations, and this led to a war. Those were the days of Spirit Ice Dolor Huiyuhao. During that period, the Sun-Moon Empire eventually gained the upper hand and took over the 2 small countries born by the division of the Heaven Do Empire. They then prepared themselves to march against the Star Luo Empire. The enemy was already at their walls. It was Spirit Ice Dolor Huiyuhao and Dragon Butterfly Dolor Tang Wutong who led their compatriots and tried their best to save the situation. In the end, the Star Moon Empire temporarily halted its attack on the Star Luo Empire, though the reason for that is unclear. The entire process lasted for years. The remnants of the Heaven Do Empire's royalty brought their followers over the sea. They eventually found another continent and occupied the land, which is now called the Heaven Do continent. On our Dolor continent, the Sun-Moon Empire's strength continued to grow. Spirit Ice Dolor and Dragon Butterfly Dolor ascended into the divine realm and no longer cared about the mundane world. Feeling helpless, the Star Luo Empire secretly sent out a fleet of ships that eventually found a continent rich in natural resources. They then discreetly started migrating to that land. In the end, a huge portion of the Star Luo Empire's population had left. The Star Moon Empire unified the continent, and after many developments, the continent turned into the federation we know today. That's why, whether it's the Heaven Do continent or the Star Luso continent, they are actually the original inhabitants of our Doluo continent, and they are openly hostile toward the Federation. If we went to the Star Luo continent for an exchange, I'm afraid it won't be smooth sailing all the way. We'll face many challenges, and there will be more than a few uncertainties. Yu Jingyu nodded. What Xie said is basically the same as I know. If we went to the Star Luo continent, I reckon that we'll be in a lot of trouble. That said, I'm still interested in going. It's nice to see things in other parts of the world. The Academy will guarantee our safety. I heard that the Star Luo continent has also dispatched diplomatic corps to have an exchange with our Federation. We don't know much about the situation in the Star Luo continent, but it won't hurt to go and have a look. I think that they won't be as advanced as the Federation. Tang Wulin looked at Yuan and Yehui. You seem reluctant to go. Yuan and Yehui nodded silently. I'm so used to the life here. I don't want to leave. Now that everyone's cultivation is on the right track, it would actually cost us a lot to tarry for 1 year. Tang Wulin said, I figure that the Academy will pick you, seeing that you're the monitor of 2nd grade Class 1. Besides, if they're asking us to go, the Academy must have some plan in mind for our cultivation, right? Yuan and Yehui shrugged. I'll go if I must. Can you forge enough spirit alloy in 6 months? Tang Wulin's heart stirred. What? You're still thinking about becoming a one-word battle armor master? Even if I can forge it, I can't possibly craft battle armor. Yuan and Yehui squinted her eyes slightly and said, at the very least, I think it's possible to forge a complete set if the 8 of us were to give it our all and work at it. Tang Wulin's eyes lit up. What are you getting at? Yuan and Yehui continued. What you need to do is forge enough spirit alloy within the next 6 months for the 8 of us to craft a set of one-word battle armor. You don't have to worry about anything else. Then, we'll strive to craft a complete set of armor for one of us. In the year we'll be spending in the Star Luo continent, we'll make battle armors for everybody using the rare metals that we have prepared. This way, our development will not be impeded. When she said this, Tang Wulin could not help but shift his gaze toward Yi Xinglan. In terms of crafting battle armors, she was the best among them. Yi Xinglan said, I'm still only a rank 5 mecha craftsman. To complete a full set of one-word battle armor, I must raise my rank to 6, otherwise I won't be able to finish the final core components of the armor. I'll try my best to make some progress within 6 months. Tang Wulin nodded, all right. Then for these 6 months, just focus on crafting your full-body battle armor and nothing else. Only when your overall abilities are strengthened will you be quicker in crafting armor in the future. Yunanan, Zhengyu, what do you think? I don't have any objections, Yuan and Yehui said with a nod. Yu Zhengyu said, me neither. But, I'm also a craftsman. I'd still want to craft my own battle armor. I'll work at it slowly, so it's alright for the resources to go to Yi Xinglan. He was very close to becoming a rank 5 craftsman. In order to raise the team's overall strength in 6 months, it was most fitting to increase Yi Xinglan's pieces of battle armor first. Besides, Yi Xinglan had proven herself with her powerful performance in that day's match. It was a glorious defeat, and she had made a huge sacrifice for the final victory of the team. If the scenario had gone the other way and the Black Swan Soul Master Mo Ju took part in the final 7 against 7, 3rd grade Class 1 would never have admitted defeat. Not when they had 2 one-word battle armor masters. Their chances of winning would have been very slim. Tang Wulin stretched out his right hand. Then let's work hard for these 6 months. Gu placed her palm under his out of habit and the others stacked theirs on top of each other. Today was definitely a day to remember, because it was the moment when the working students were at their most united. Everybody would be busy in the coming days. The students of 1st grade Class 1 were more studious than any other grade. The inspirational role played by Tang Wulin and the others had filled the entire first grade with fighting spirit. The name of strongest first grade also spread like wildfire and was accepted by the entire outer court. With the exception of Tang Wulin, the other team members had already attained 4 in cultivation bases. He only had 2 things on his agenda every day: cultivate his soul power, and forge spirit alloy. The list of exchange students going to the Star Luo continent was announced soon after. From first grade class 1, Tang Wulin, Ji Yu, Yi Xinglan, Xu Lixi, Xie Xie, and Xu Xiaoyuan. From second grade class 1, Yuan Yehui and Yu Jingyu. It was them, the 8 working students. The chaperone was teacher Wu Zhongkong. Besides him, the leader of the group was Silver Moon de Luo Cai Yua. Tang Wulin and the others welcomed the thought of Wu Zhongkong being the chaperone, but Elder Cai's presence made them feel pressured. After all, Elder Cai had given them their fair share of trouble when they had first entered the academy. 6 months passed. Beside the Spirit Ice Plaza of Shrek Academy's outer court, Enea sat on the stone bench. Her feet dangled and swung lightly. She wore a dress, and when her feet kicked up, she exposed her calves that were as white as polished jade. Her silver hair was longer now and fell freely behind her. It flickered with a faint luster in the afterglow of dusk. "Brother, when are you leaving?" Enea asked softly. Tang Wulin smiled and shook his head. "I don't know either, but I think it's probably within the next few days. Teacher won't give her permission for me to go." Enea pouted her red lips, discontent written all over her face. Tang Wulin chuckled. "It's not like I'm never coming back. I'll only be away for a year." Enea said sadly, "You're willing to leave me here alone? I don't even know anything about the Star Luo Empire. I'm worried about you." Tang Wulin caressed her long hair. "I know, but it's already been decided. We can't do anything to change it." "Enea, have you completed your one-word battle armor?" Enea shook her head. "I'm still short of one final component. Work hard, okay? Maybe, just maybe, when I return after 1 year, it'll be as a one-word battle armor master," Tang Wulin said with a smile. Enea smiled as well. "I don't believe you. You only have 1 piece of battle armor right now. How can you possibly progress that quickly?" Tang Wulin said, "Don't you know that I'm exceptionally gifted?" Enea hardly stifled her laughter. "Brother, since when have you become so full of yourself? By the way, you're not even at rank 40. I see that you've been busy every day. So busy that you have no time for me. How much further are you from your goal?" Tang Wulin smiled bitterly. "I'm at rank 38 now, so 2 ranks more." Tang Wulin sighed. "Some exceptionally gifted person I am. The increase in my soul power has been proceeding at an extremely slow pace." He was also troubled by his own condition. 6 months have already passed, and his soul power was only at rank 38. Although he was very close to reaching rank 39, it was obvious that he would not be able to reach rank 40 before they departed for the Star Luo continent. If he could not reach rank 40, it meant that he could not become a rank 6 blacksmith and could not obtain his 2nd spirit soul, or 4th soul ring for that matter. All these were factors that restricted him from developing his power. How could he not feel depressed when he was the team leader but had the lowest cultivation base? Yuan Yehui, who had the highest soul power, was already at rank 45. Ji Yu and Yu Jingyu were both at rank 44, while Yi Xinglan was at rank 43. Xie Xie, Xu Xiaoyuan, and Xu Lixi were all at rank 42. He was the only one who was still at rank 38. After reaching rank 40, everyone's strength improved quickly. Tang Wulin had been working hard to cultivate his soul power, but he made little headway in other aspects. Only his blood essence became more powerful. If this went on, he would soon fall behind the others. "Don't give up. I'm sure you'll have a breakthrough very soon. Maybe you'll be able to catch up to the others after you've reached rank 40, Enea said with a smile. Actually, Tang Wulin was not too depressed. Ever since he continuously broke the Golden Dragon King bloodline seals, his soul power had changed somewhat. Although he could not increase its amount, his soul power had grown in vigor. When he first started cultivating in the mysterious heaven method, his soul power was pure white. Now, it had transformed into a faint golden liquid. His cultivation base was only at rank 38, but his endurance was in no way inferior to his companions. Because of his lower rank, he could not move on to a higher status, but his foundation was rock solid. Thanks for the wishes. Let's hope it turns out that way. Tang Wulin had longed to reach rank 40 for quite some time now. Once he reached rank 40, all his abilities would improve, albeit to varying degrees. If he wished to become a one-word battle armor master, the lowest requirement was rank 40. At this moment, his soul communication tool rang. Teacher? Tang Wulin smiled as he recognized the number. It was Teacher Mu Chen. Are you in the academy? Mu Chen's gentle voice could be heard. I am, sir, Tang Wulin replied politely. Can you come to the gate? Mu Chen asked. Certainly, I'll be right down. Tang Wulin turned to Enea and said, Teacher Mu Chen has come. I'm going to meet him. Why don't you return to the inner court? Oh, Enea replied reluctantly. Tang Wulin almost flew as he sprinted toward the academy's gates. It's impossible, you know? Him and you. At this moment, a voice reached Enea's ear. She turned around abruptly and saw Gu standing not far from her, looking at her with fiery eyes. Enea pushed against the stone bench with her right hand, leaped and stood on it. Why are we impossible? Do you even know how it feels to like someone? Enea said angrily. Gu only looked at her silently and said nothing. Enea's emotions calmed down gradually. She shot Gu a spiteful glare before turning and leaping away. Her silver hair fluttered in the wind and she disappeared in an instant. After Enea was out of earshot, Gu muttered to herself, Do I know how it feels to like someone? Tang Wulin reached the gates of Shrek Academy's outer court in no time. His eyes quickly registered shock. Mu Chen was not alone as he stood beyond the gates. Beside him was another familiar figure. It was Zhenhua. When Zhenhua saw him, he could not repress his smile. Tang Wulin ran over hastily. He bowed politely. Teacher, Uncle Master. Mu Chen smiled. You're fast. I thought you'd be held up a little. Tang Wulin chuckled. What brings the two of you here? You could have just called me and I'd come to meet you both. Mu Chen said, If we're going through the back door, it's best not to do it at the association. Back door? Tang Wulin looked at his teacher in confusion. Mu Chen's gaze was on Zhenhua beside him. Zhenhua smiled. We've brought you something. As he said this, he stretched out his right hand and opened his palm. On his palm was a badge. It had a white base, and 6 purple stars on the top that flickered with a noble luster. This is, Tang Wulin looked at Zhenhua with shock. Uncle Master, I'm not at rank 6 yet. Zhenhua smiled. Well, you practically qualified for rank 6 long ago. The only thing that you lack is your soul power cultivation base. Once your soul power is brought up to speed, it won't be much difficulty for you to refine spirit alloy, seeing how sturdy your foundations are. You'll be going to the Star Luo continent for 1 year, and your cultivation base is bound to break through rank 40 within that year. I'm giving you this badge in advance. When you return, you'll have almost certainly become a true rank 6 blacksmith already. Mu Chen said, Take it. Your Uncle Master made this for you himself. When he said this, there was clearly a tinge of jealousy. He had to admit that there was still a huge gap between him and Zhenhua in terms of forging. After all, Zhenhua was one of the generation's divine craftsmen. Thank you, Uncle Master. Thank you, teacher. Tang Wulin accepted the badge. It must have been unprecedented for the Blacksmith Association's president to go through the back door to give him the rank 6 blacksmith badge in advance. Mu Chen said with a deep voice, Be mindful of your safety throughout this trip, and achieve a breakthrough in your soul power cultivation base as soon as possible. Your foundations are firm, but you're still a bit slow in improving your soul power. If you're still unable to raise it faster after you return from the Star Luo continent, we'll find a way to help you out. Thank you, Uncle Master. Naturally, Tang Wulin understood what he meant by a way, but inwardly he still wished to improve his soul power through his own hard work. Throughout this year, although he had made little progress in his soul power, the experience he got from cultivating gave him a clearer grasp of his soul power and a deeper understanding of his blue-silver grass martial soul. If he improved his cultivation base by using heaven and earth treasures, he could be certain that the effects would be as good as this. Zhenhe looked at Tang Wulin with a smile and said, I expect that you'll have a few surprises throughout your trip to the Star Luo continent. Surprises? Like what? Tang Wulin inquired curiously. Zhenhe spoke with a mysterious tone, since it's a surprise, how can I spill the beans? You'll know when you get there. Tang Wulin looked toward Mu Chen for help, but Mu Chen only smiled at him and shook his head. All right, we'll be going off. I wish you a safe journey. Zhenhe waved at Tang Wulin. The master siblings turned around and left. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.